Hey everyone, I'm here today with Coffee and Commercial, and I have this beautiful lady here that just happens to be my girlfriend, and I thought I would interview her because she has an amazing story. So I'm glad that you're here with us today, and Rosie, I'm glad that you made it today with us to come in and talk to us a little bit about your story. I know that you went from being an employee to an entrepreneur, and those are the things that we're going to talk about today is really what it takes to make that leap into being a business owner. So with that, Rosie, why don't you introduce yourself real quick and just tell me a little bit about your background, and then we'll get started on some questions that can help with the viewers.
Well, thank you for having me. My name is Rosie. Like you said, I've been coaching for about 8 years, but a fitness enthusiast since I was 19. We're not going to calculate that number, but I love what I do. It's what I believe I do best in my life, and I believe there's a purpose to it, and I walk around life just knowing that that's my call.
So what is it about being an entrepreneur that attracted you in the first place? Because I know you were more a 9 to 5 corporate job for a while, and then you made that leap. What was that? What caused you to look at that aspect of business and say, look, I'm attracted to actually opening my own business and becoming an entrepreneur? What was that change, that mindset change that made you make that jump?
I think it was finding what fulfilled me. What I was doing was not fulfilling. I didn't think that there was anything that I was creating. I'm a creator. I like to create. So I took a chance on myself. I betted on myself, and I decided to do what I've always thought of doing. Later in life, I think I started somewhere around my 40s when I decided to do that. So
Oh, wow.
it was
Okay.
it was a lot different than most
Okay.
women's stories when they
But
start
but it's
younger.
interesting that you said, you know what, it was later in your years that you decided to kind of make that leap and make that jump. And I know you have kids. So how do you juggle both right now when you're dealing with family life and business, and your business is expanding and it's growing quickly. And we'll get into that a little bit more as we speak. But how do you juggle the two lives between being a mom and now all the pressures of being an entrepreneur?
I think being an entrepreneur, I was sort of forced into that. That's another thing, touching back on what you asked earlier. When I went through divorce, I just kind of had to make it on my own. I needed to know that give something my kids could be proud of. And the way I juggle it all, I like to believe that I make room in my life and I make time that's very valuable when you're so busy for what is important. And for
Okay.
me, that's faith, family, fitness, obviously finances, and friends. I choose my friends more
The
carefully
five F's,
now.
right? What was it?
Yeah.
The five F's. What
The
was it?
five
What was it?
Fs.
It was
So it's faith,
faith,
above all,
faith above all,
family,
family,
my children, my boyfriend,
family,
fitness.
fitness.
Your health is very important.
Okay.
Finances, we
We all
we all need
struggle making
success.
sure that
It's
we
a tool
balance.
to get around life. And then your friends, your
Okay.
close friends. So you make time for those things that actually are you can grow in your life, and you don't really have room for the things that are not
Now, tell me,
fulfilling.
and that's great. I'm glad that you brought that up, the five F's. It's a great way to live. But one thing you mentioned earlier, and actually we were talking about it off camera, purpose, right? Your purpose. And I've noticed that you've created this environment within your studio. And by the way, for those who don't know, she owns a gym, right? You own a gym, a studio, a fitness
Yeah.
studio. You created this environment of support and encouragement within your studio. Was that part of your purpose of doing it, or was it the fitness side? Because I know you mentioned that you weren't fulfilled, and then you looked for something with purpose, and I see that in your business now.
Yeah, and I think growing up, some young girls can be mean, and the cattiness and the mean girl clubs type of thing. I always knew that as I got older, if I could control something, would be the perception women have of each other. We're here to uplift one another, help each other. We all struggle very similarly, so we shouldn't be against each other. And that's the kind of the core values that I implemented in my studio, where we all had this like positive, uplifting environment and none of the cattiness, none of the
And I've
drama,
seen
none of
that.
that.
I really seen that as obviously we've been going out and dating for a while, but I see that every time I go to your studio, it is a very inclusive environment where women are really uplifting each other. And I see that you do a lot, not only for the women within your studio and that are in your business, but you do things outside of that. Didn't you just have an event this weekend? Something
I
happened,
did,
right?
I
I
did.
saw it online, and I know I ended up showing up after, but I see you giving back, and that's another aspect of you as a business owner, entrepreneur, and now philanthropy, right?
Yeah.
And actually giving back. So tell me a little bit about that one.
I remember what everyone prays for something in life, and I remember when I prayed about where I am now, I promised God that if I'm ever able to use what the gifts He's given me for the good cause, and that would be sort of my payback. Not that He's expecting us to constantly want to pay things back, but it's if He gives you a gift, we should use it for good.
Yeah, I saw that. I think you did some impact movement. I think it is right where they
Yeah,
built
we had a
where they
workout.
built where they you did a workout for charity. Everybody
It's for a
donated.
single mom and her two children. She was a hardworking woman. She is a hardworking woman, and yeah. So now we were able to contribute to raising money, and
Okay,
they're doing
excellent.
amazing things there.
Excellent, excellent. Now, let's get back a little bit to the business aspect of it because I know as an entrepreneur myself, when you first get started, you do everything. You literally come in here, take out the trash, clean the tables, get the office ready, turn on all the lights, turn on everything. I mean, you go from being a real estate professional to all of a sudden being an entrepreneur and owning your own business, and you're forced to wear a lot of hats, right? What have you seen as making that jump from a fitness trainer and actually just having one-on-one client consultations to now you're a business owner? I could only imagine the amount of hats that you had to wear.
I wore all of them. So I've worked at 6 different gyms, and each one I learned a valuable lesson. I learned a lot from a lot of them. I learned how I want to run my business, how I don't want to run my business, and I took that experience, took it all with me. In fact, I had a management position at the camp. I learned how to run a business. I learned how to do sales. I learned how to do just manage a successful gym. And I took all that with me to my business. I literally did everything that would
Everything from the
everything.
beginning
I
to
was
the
the
end, right?
janitor. I was the nutrition coach. I was the trainer, personal trainer. I was. I did the sales. I did the marketing.
You did it all.
I just went with
Yeah.
it head first and see where it took me, and I landed.
The one thing that I've noticed with entrepreneurs, and I've experienced myself, I've been self-employed and had my own business for over 30 years, is that you take on a lot of hats, and it is very challenging because we might be the best at what we do, right? I might be the best baker, but there's a big difference with being the best baker than to owning a bakery. There's a lot of things that you got to deal with, legalities, right? Legal issues, city codes, insurances, liability insurances, leases, commercial spaces. There's so many things, taxes, right? And I know that you as as an entrepreneur, you've experienced some of that, right?
Yeah.
Because I know that you have some really good news about your business growing, right? Aren't you expanding a little bit?
I am. We're opening up our second location. We just started construction, and we're hitting the Orange County market.
Right. So all of a sudden you had to become a commercial agent, right?
I had to learn from a great, amazing broker that does real
Well, you
estate,
know what?
apparently.
It is amazing, guys. She did come to me for a little bit of advice, and we kind of had some conversations about commercial spaces as she's expanding her business because she's a terrific trainer, an amazing business woman. But at the same time, there's things that she's going to start doing now and that you've done, that I've done, that we've never done before. Like, you got to deal with legal aspects of it, protecting your brand. One of which was your commercial lease, right? Looking at your commercial lease and the detail on what you were doing. The other one that really stuck out to me is you protecting your brand. You've done something that most entrepreneurs take years to do, and it took me a long time to do it, which was trademarking and registering my brand, right? Where we own our logo and we own our brand. You did it within the first 12 months.
I did. I think it's important for As you grow, if you don't protect your name, I think, I mean, some people can confuse you. So it's very important that you make sure that you protect your name, so you protect your company. It's for me,
It's
it
an
was very
asset.
important to
It's
do in the
really an
beginning.
asset, and I
Yes.
agree with you. I do agree with you. It is an asset of the
Or they can
company.
associate you with some other company. It's easy to do that when you're in the same industry.
Got it. Yeah, exactly. But I think the one thing that sets you apart as a business owner is not only are you a single mom and you are starting your own business, but you created your own trademark, you created your own brand, and now you're expanding to your second location, and you've done it all within 24 months, and that's amazing to me.
Thank you.
What was one of your biggest challenges that you faced as you got into being an entrepreneur and now leading a company of how many trainers do you have?
Oh gosh, about seven in one location. Then
And,
there's
and
still
then you
another one.
and
Yeah.
now you're hiring for your second, right? What was the biggest challenge that you faced expanding your business and actually getting into it? One of the biggest challenges that because there might be a young lady out there that is looking at you and looking like I'm getting inspired. I would love to be something like do something like that. What was your biggest challenge that you
Um,
faced?
for me, I think the biggest challenge was the growth part of it and how things change and how you have to now become this other person. You were the trainer before, but now your role has changed. So now you're going to be this person, and now as you grow to a second, so you have to become that person. And I think it was very important for me to. And everybody knows I'm faith, like I'm very into my
Faith
faith. So
first with
faith
you.
first. So it was important for me to seek God's validation more than other people's opinion, because that you can easily get lost in worrying about what people think about you, and honestly
Yes.
you're not going to be for everyone. That was the best advice somebody told me. You're not going to be for everyone, and you're going to
Exactly.
have to be okay with that. And it's very selfish of someone to think that you have to be for everyone. You can't be for everyone. Your people will find you, and the
Your
ones
tribe,
that
you
don't,
create your tribe.
they'll
Yes.
find where, and you have to be happy for those that find whoever they're looking for
And,
and
and
can
you're
help
you're
them. We're
absolutely
in the
right.
business of helping others.
I agree. I agree 1,000%. I mean, I'm in the real estate industry, guys. You obviously know that. But I could walk out of my office and walk into 5 different offices within 2 blocks, right? There's enough business for all of us. There's an abundance of business out there, right? And I think one of the things that I do admire about you is you're very purpose driven. If it doesn't fit the purpose or the vision of your business, you don't go that direction. I've noticed that about you. You kind of have this test that you do that I've noticed that I've watched you do, and I've been watching her very carefully, guys, as far as how she's running her business. If it doesn't fit your purpose and the vision of what you're trying to create, then you steer away from it.
Yeah, you don't have to be like everyone else. Even if it is the same industry, you can be follow your own path. You don't have to take every turn in, and eventually if you do that, you'll notice people will start to copy you a little bit. That it's
It
okay. I
does. It
think that
happens.
if you keep your mind on aiming towards that one goal that you have and the vision that you have, if you are a creator, if you are the artist, then just
Keep going.
creating,
Keep
keep-
creating.
yeah.
Keep creating. Well, you've been doing an amazing job. You're expanding to your second location. And I know that I asked you what was your biggest challenge. What's one of the biggest success takeaways that you said, oh my God, I can't believe I did this? Like something that you actually kind of stood back and looked at yourself and said, like, man, did I do that? Right? Because I know I've had those moments where I'm like, wow, did I create this? Right? So what was that moment for you?
I think for me, when I see a group of women come together and they all they have their own friends, they have their own, they become close to each other, and then they're out living lives, and we started a community, and then I have these trainers that they were babies, and now they're just flourishing, they're doing amazing, and now they're leaders.
So-
it's a leader creating a leader for me.
So, if I'm listening correctly, you really relish and enjoy the fact that you created this environment.
Where
It's
people
not even
grow
from
in
people grow and
some way
expand in
or
one way or
another,
another,
yeah.
right? And I think it all goes back to you staying true to your purpose, right? Staying true to what you've done and your vision of your company. But how do you handle the whole kids situation with the business and a boyfriend? How do you do that?
I mean, it's hard. It's hard at times, but I think for me, like I said, if you prioritize your time, and everyone, you should look at your time like it's expensive. If it's wasting your time, then it's in you got to be selective. You got to be selective on what you spend that time on, and if it's something that it's growing you, and it's and you're on a mission to do something, then that's all the time you have. You can't use it on wasting it on other things that are not positive.
I totally agree with you. My last question is going to be this, and I think this is a question that I always ask people that I'm speaking with. What advice would you give yourself uh, if you can go back in time and you were that 19-year-old girl getting into fitness, and you always had that little thing in the back of your head that you're going to be a business owner, you want to be an entrepreneur. What advice would you give yourself, or a young girl that might be out there right now that might be thinking about being an entrepreneur or own her own fitness studio one day? What advice would you give a person like that right now? Now that you've been through the whole testing of opening your own business and running it very successfully.
That fear and failure is part of winning.
Oh,
You
I like
have
that.
to
I
you
like
have
that.
to lose to win. There's no lessons learned. No one is a winner because they won all their life. I think you have to fall many times, get back up, and know how you're going to do things moving forward. It might even take you down a path that you didn't expect because you didn't take that job, or you weren't accepted
Or you
here,
took that
or
leap of
you
faith,
end up going
right?
towards another avenue. Just trust that path, because it's not always necessarily taking you downhill.
I love that. What did you say? Faith and fear. What was it? How did you say it?
You can't be afraid of faith and fear. You
Right.
have to
Faith. No, not
I'm
faith and
sorry.
fear. Fear and failure.
feel
Sorry.
it, fear and
Yeah.
failure.
Fear and failure is part of success. I like that. That should be a quote up on the wall somewhere, right? Fear and failure is part of success.
And looking back, I am very, very grateful for all my failures. I needed every single one. And as weird as it sounds, most people think failure. Nobody wants to fail, but you look at it in life like some people say, life, you don't get a second chance. You got to take the chance. And honestly, life is a rehearsal. You have to. You're gonna try, and you're gonna try again.
And you may
you're gonna
fail, and you
and you're
fall,
gonna
and you get
until
up, and
you
you go.
get
Yes.
this, the
No,
story.
I agree with you. I'm always been blamed of shooting first and aiming later.
The point is, don't give up.
Don't give up.
Because if you
right?
give
Yeah.
up, then
There you
that's
go.
it,
No,
the
that's
story.
true. No, it's true, right? It's true. I think as entrepreneurs, you and I, we shoot first and aim later. I know I do it all the time. I'll create a marketing piece, or I'll do something, misspell something, and I don't care. I just throw it out there. And then I get DMs, emails, my own staff trying to clean up behind me, and I'll get the call like, "Hey, did you know you put the wrong date on this?" It doesn't matter. Did I get your attention? Right? Did you call me? Yes. Then it worked. Right? Sometimes I know that if you get stuck trying to be perfect, right, you're never going to get started. Have you had that challenge where you're trying to be too perfect instead of just shooting first and aiming later?
That's what I would tell my 19-year-old self. I think I would let her know that there's no such thing as being perfect. You have to be your authentic self, because that's who people fall in love with. And eventually, when
Yes.
if you're into this character, into this like facade of a person, then
Well, people will see right through it.
people see right through it. They they fall off. You know, you have to, whatever message you're putting out there, if it is be yourself, walking your purpose, then you have to live that life too. And people are going to judge. It doesn't matter. Like you still attract the right tribe. But I'm not perfect. I know you think I am. So we don't argue about that.
Yeah, guys, we don't argue about her being perfect. But you know what? I'm glad that we were able to do this today. I think there's a lot of great nuggets that you have for the people out there, especially young women that are thinking about being entrepreneurs, and they see your leadership, they see your vision, they see what you've created. I'm very proud of you. I've been watching you do it, and I've been watching you maneuver with your staff and your team and your partners and everybody that you have in place. And I know one of the biggest takeaways today, guys, is fear and failure. I like that. Fear and failure is part of success. And if you could just say anything to anybody out there, I think that's what they should take away from being here today.
I still go through it now. I still have fear. You have to just catch yourself when it happens and tell yourself.
I know. I
gotta
get
keep
it.
going.
We do the same here at the office. So, guys, again, I want to thank you for being here today and sharing your insights. I know that I have another Jesse, a good friend of mine, that wants to ask you a couple of questions. So we're going to give him an opportunity to come up here and get a couple of questions as well.
And really quick, a supportive partner is a big part of anyone's journey.
Okay, thank you. I hope you're talking about me.
I am, but it is important because you could either have someone that boosts your confidence or shatters it, one or the other.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys. If you want to reach out to her, where can they get a hold of you?
Either our Instagram is at Peachbody Studios and at Peachbody Studios OC.
Okay.
Our website is peachbodystudios.com and our phone number is 909-900-4114 if there's any questions.
Really quick before we go, where's your second location going to be?
In the city of Orange. It's borderlining Tustin.
Tustin.
And,
So you're going to Orange County.
Orange County.
All right. Excellent. Can't wait to have dinner out there. All right, guys. If you want to get a hold of me, I'm at Instagram. It's at IrisCEO. You can get a hold of me there. Send me a DM, and maybe you'll be the next one on our podcast. So again, Rosey, thank you very much. I appreciate you being here. Great insights, guys. We'll see you on the next one.